What's going on, collectors? Optical 20 for another video review. This time it's Mark 6 from the Avengers Diecast version. And if you want to purchase this figure, please click the link down below. It'll take you to bigbadtoystore.com. $4 shipping. You don't need to pre-order it. It's already in stock. And also, if you use my link, you really help out my channel because they're a big supporter of this channel, and everything helps. So as far as the box, typical diecast box, as you can see here, it is like the one that you separate in the middle, but the artwork is pretty cool. You see the Avengers plaster all over it. It is built as the Avengers, but it has some pieces which reminds you of Iron Man 2 as well, which is pretty cool. So you can go back and forth between the two scenes. On the side of the box, continuation of the artwork and the arc reactor. I don't know if this is at the beginning. This is the first I guess suit that has a triangular arc reactor, back in the day. So you can see the Avengers, they're not embossed. So normally you would see that, I think I've seen Xenomorph's review. It looks like it's protruding out, but it really isn't. And like I said, typical die-cast box right here. So once you open it up, I'm pretty sure a bunch of stuffs are gonna fall off. So you just gotta be careful. Normally you want to put it laying down. This is not the exclusive edition. I don't really need that helmet, the blue one. It's just going to add to my accessories that I won't use. And speaking of accessories, it comes with a bunch. Not really a lot, but there's a lot of pieces because of his forearm artillery. And the forearm, what do you call this? The arm guard or whatever it is. It's pretty cool because it is actually articulated on some hands, not all of them. Back in the day in Mark 42, Mark 7, you got a separate piece. So if you are going to use the arc reactor hand and all that stuff, or the blasting hand, you got to switch them up. So it's pretty cool that you have one less accessory, one less thing to break, I guess, when you're putting them in, because it kind of hinders the it kind of goes in the way of the hand as well. It's already tight to begin with when you're putting the hand in the peg of the light. And as you can see here, he also comes with the piston hands, but with the laser beam on it, like the laser gun. He used that when, I believe, trying to save the Hell Carrier from Avengers 1, when they attacked Hawkeye and all that stuff. So a lot of people find that laser beam kind of corny, but I disagree. I think it's pretty cool. I do like it. And these are the pieces from Iron Man 2. As you can see here, this is the battle damage chest piece. I'm pretty sure this is not on the Avengers, because I rewatched that movie, when I got this figure, just to get pumped up and all that stuff. Pretty sure it's not in there. The battle damage on that movie is a lot different than what they used here, because he's already all scruffed up. But that is after he tried to do the, try to help the Hell Carrier and all that stuff. And this battle damage helmet as well is, from Iron Man 2, which is pretty neat that they included it, because back in the day, the Iron Man Mark 6, the plastic one, came with a whole lot. So for you to fork out at least, what's this, $100 more, outside of the weight, which is a big factor in my opinion, and also the look, the proportion, I would say it's a must buy, this Mark 6. If you have the plastic version, if you're asking yourself, should I upgrade? Without a doubt, because my friend does have the Mark 6, and it's great at the time, but we have moved forward, and this is a big step up. And as far as another cool accessory, this is great. His stand, it's a bit it's not a bit undersized. It is really undersized. As you remember, if you rewatch the Avengers, he went down to the Stark Tower. The Gantry, started taking off his armor, preparing to have him battle Loki. Then he was walking. So it's a good diorama base. It's not that big. So I actually have this figure in Mark 6 in a D12 altogether. It's not ideal because you can't fully highlight the look of this figure, but it's there. And as far as the armor itself, I don't know, I'm just a fan of how this looks. The Mark 6 kind of gives you this, in terms of suit, that's more of a form-fitting suit, like a modern day kind of suit. This one kind of reminds you of a Phil Jackson suit, those big suit with wide shoulders and whatnot. This one looks like an armor, like a I wouldn't say tank that, because that's more appropriate for War Machine. But this guy looks like it can take a hit. Like his body is well padded and all that stuff. And I'm a fan of that look, to be quite honest with you. But I also appreciate Mark 46. Not so much the new Iron Man from Infinity Wars, but maybe I'll draw the line on that one. 46 is I kind of like that too. But between this and 46, you have the best of both worlds. But if you make me choose, I'm a bit more fan of this look. As far as like everything, when once you gear him up for battle, you take out his missiles on his shoulder and then some lasers on the other part of the shoulder. Take out all his flight brakes and all that stuff. This one opens up too. Not too much. I mean, you can open it up more than that, but the camera won't pick it up anyway. So there's a lot of details underneath that as well, some wiring and whatnot. And then once you included all his gauntlet missiles, oh, it's glorious, because there's one thing that's kind of new in this figure as well, as the blue light that's shining through his forearms and in his rib cage. So I mean, probably won't see it as much in this video, because for the most part it is you can see it if it's dark, and it's more prominent if you're holding the figure. But it's glorious looking. And also, one thing that I want to commend Hot Toys for is they're getting better on their switches. This one is pretty easy to take off. On the helmet, you don't have to pry anything off, which is great. It's magnetized. So thank you, Hot Toys, for doing that. And also with his forearm, it's still a little bit harder, but not as hard. Well, Mark 46 just have way too many lights. This one is a little bit better, because it's still, once you pry it out, there's like a small gap for your fingernails to get into, and then you just turn on the lights, which is pretty cool. The triangular arc reactor, of course, you can see it there. His chest is a little bit puffing out. The shoulder piece, typically you get the rotation inside the joint, like inside the ball joint, so there's always a gap. But this way they put it kind of like outside of that silver joint, so you have more movability. So once you position the arm in a different way, you can still move it around to kind of cover up that joint, even though it's not that bad. I guess it's a good way to make up for it, because 46 is almost flawless when it comes to hiding those joints. One thing that's also cool is this new way that you can almost touch his shoulder with his armor, which is pretty new for any Iron Man figure, die cast or not. Now on the older figure, I've seen Xenomorph, like I said, once you press that, I believe that those are the flares. On the old one, it pops out, and this new one, it has no use whatsoever. It's just sculpted. That's a give and take, I guess, for having a die-cast figure, but I would take this figure any day of the week. See those legs, those nice details. And also in his chest piece, once you take this out, you can see this. There's some marvelous details inside. And it's pretty easy to insert and remove. Although on the other ones, the battle damage one, it kind of like pops up on me every once in a while, but no big deal, The same thing I noticed from my Mark 46 it is the same way as well. There's a lot of details there. If there's one thing that I wish they did, was they made this light brighter, because it doesn't cover the entire triangle once you light them up, only a portion of it. Now, as far as the head sculpt, I believe this is more proportion head sculpt than the first one, because the first one was a bit narrower. This one has a bit that battle damage on, just very subtle. So it's pretty cool as well. You can see it on his eyes. Just a little bit of scratches here and there. It does help as well, because once you drop this Hot Toys figure, I haven't dropped mine because I'm really careful. Every time that especially shiny objects, if you are going to play around with them, let's say switch the head sculpt, or like the gauntlets and whatnot, I would suggest you do them on a bed, because if you do them somewhere in a table or so and then you drop them, you put that risk. Even though you might not break them, you might chip the paint or so. So highly suggest, especially for Iron Mans, if you're changing like a regular hand from Daredevil, it's all right, but if you're changing Iron Man, they're plastic, their coated is shiny, so you don't want to risk that. You see how easy it is to turn on the lights? That is amazing. I've experienced that just in Mark 46. I guess I've been out of the Iron Man game for a while now, so I'm a bit just marveled on how easy it is. My last Iron Man was 43 before this, or Mark 3, so it was a little bit of a pain. But and then taking the head out, swapping it out to the other head sculpt. That's a bit of a work, because sometimes the neck comes up with it, and it shouldn't. You only need the head sculpt. Sometimes it's too tight. And this is the battle damage faceplate, which you could put in both. You can put it on the light up head sculpt or the Robert Downey head sculpt as well. But look at those nice details right there. It's just phenomenal. It's beautiful. What more can you ask for? And just a closer look, you can see some damage in there. I gotta rewatch Iron Man 2. It's not the best movie in the world, but it's better than 3 at least. I enjoyed it, But yeah, look at that. Nice pieces. I just wish they came with more, like maybe in his legs, some more battle damage pieces out there. Can't wait for Mark 5. I didn't really pre-order that, but I'm thinking of it. I'm thinking of picking it up. I think the armor is unique enough for me to pick it up. And this is the Robert Downey head sculpt. Another good head sculpt by Hot Toys. And he has a different look from the Avengers, obviously, to Mark 46. He's a bit older in Mark 46, so just a closer look. You see the details and the wrinkles. And Robert Downey is still old, back in Avengers, so he's in his 40s, I believe. But you can see the difference. If I'm not gonna put them side to side, maybe in my comparison video I would make one. But regardless, it is a really great head sculpt with the texture and his face, the expression. And everything. Now, if you do have the Mark III, you would probably think to yourself, oh, it's pretty similar to Mark III. So I did a comparison right here. This is the Mark III on the left on your screen, Mark 6 on the right. It's Mark III is pretty good on its time. Even now it's still not bad, but Mark 6 has more depth to it. I think the skin tone is a lot better. He's more orangey on Mark III. No hair is showing up. Obviously, there's some hair on the Mark 6, but I think overall, because of the texture in the skin, some wrinkles on his forehead. So you can, I would say this is not a reused head sculpt, because there's some hair on the other one. But overall, the Mark 6 I think is better. And this is the money pose for this figure. Everything out, guns blazing. You get all lights up. I wish the lights were a bit stronger in the hand too. This is actually on. I don't know if you can see some blue right there on his forearm, but as you can see, the arc, not the arc reactor, the repulsor blast is suffering from some light in there. It doesn't have a ton of light. I know I have lights in here, but it should shine more than that. So you can see his arc reactor. You can tell that it is lit up. You can't even tell on the repulsor blast right there. But as you can see, he still looks pretty badass with all this, things popping out of him. He seems like a mech, and that's how we envision Iron Man, not like Mega Man or, from I haven't seen obviously Infinity Wars, but I'm not really digging it yet compared to this guy. When he unleashed this on Loki, it seems like, oh, it's on. He's trying to scare you, man. He took out all his guns, so he's gonna come out hot. Those missiles, and gotta be careful though. I would suggest before you insert all this forearm, trinkets and whatnot, you gotta change the hands, because you gotta, once you insert the hands, it's a bit tight, so you gotta want to hold on to something, and you don't want to hold anywhere near the forearm, because they're pretty fragile. Some things are sticking out, all these missiles, so you gotta be careful. Like I said earlier, if you take a picture of him in the right angle, see that long purple or pinkish beam? If it's blurred, it looks like it's soft beam. So that for photography, that is pretty cool. If you just put the focus on the figure itself and you make that blurry, so you don't even need to Photoshop it. So that is, and it's straight as an arrow, and it's kind of long as well. So I was kind of careful when I'm rotating this figure, because making sure that I do not hit my camera. But this is a more subtle look. It's nice to pose him with all this, gadgets sticking out, because he's the first one, I believe, who has all these gadgets. But you know, it is a bit of a danger as well. Because imagine if you're displaying him on a D-Soft and then he falls face first. Oh, for sure. With the weight of this figure, you are gonna break some of those. So just be careful, guys. This is diecast and it's really heavy as well. But enjoy it. You know, don't just put it and display it in the figure. Enjoy it. Hold it. Pose him. Take pictures of him. You know, I mean, that's the at least for me, that is the enjoyment that I get when I get these figures. And this is one of the better figures that I've had. Well, honestly, him in 46. I'm not even a big Iron Man fan, but you know, even if you're not, and I'm sure there's some people out there who's kind of like, oh, another Iron Man release. Why can't we get XYZ? I mean, A, they make money out of Iron Man, and B, come on, let's face it, they're pretty cool. They are pretty cool, regardless if you get tired of it or not. And you know, I'm one of those people sometimes, and I felt that way mostly on the Iron Man 3. You know, when they got all this weird looking Iron Man, and I was like, well, that's unnecessary because they came out for like 2 seconds. But this guy actually left a mark. So as far as you know, like mark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, he paid his dues. This armor was used a lot. So even if you're not a big fan, you can make an exception for this one, just like I did. So as you can see him standing over that gantry, it's not out of scale. It's out of scale because it's supposed to be huge, but obviously they can't make it 1/6 huge because they're probably gonna charge us 600 if they do that. So with what they did, I mean, and what they charge us for, they only charge us like $15 more than the Mark 46, but this base is not recycled compared to the 46, which it is. And you know, he comes with, I would say, more pieces. Battle damage head sculpt, you know, the chest piece obviously they have together, but there's some pieces here that obviously the Mark 46 does not have. And there you go, guys. Great looking figure. You are gonna enjoy this regardless if you are an Iron Man collector or not. Now, if you don't have any hot toys yet and want to dive into Iron Man, this is not a bad first Iron Man. You know, it's either this 46 or 3. I would make a comparison video of the 3 just in case. I would suggest buy all of them, but I understand some, you know, it's easy to say, but there's some money situation for some of us here. So, but if you, whatever you choose, this is not a bad option and you would win regardless. So like I said, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. It really just motivates me to make more. Like my videos, click the thumbs up button, subscribe, follow me on Instagram because I'm going to post a ton of pictures of this guy. I really like posting him, and follow me on Facebook, and I'll see you in the next review, guys, and thank you for watching.